So number two, secret number two, relationships. So this is key. This is something that I am a strong believer in, and it's something that I practice on a regular basis. But maintaining and building your relationships with nurses, other business owners, vendors, is key. And it's something that really doesn't cost you anything. So you don't need a large budget to start an agency, and you don't need a lot of staff necessarily. But creating that relationship is really key and part of setting up the system. So sometimes when you think about like business relationships and things of that nature, you may only think of like one or two things, but it's really that follow-up. It's, connecting with a person where you've had a conversation with them and not basing the ability or the outcome of that conversation to immediately be anything. It's important that as business owners or potential business owners, we get the concept that the long-term return is way better than me giving you $5 for something that you did to me or did for me. So, again, those relationships matter. And it's also important to think about how those relationships matter in the sense of when you leave these places. So most of us have worked for hospitals and agencies, worked alongside other nurses. So the relationships you have with those people is important as well. So as fellow employees, what I tell people is be the kind of employee that you would hire. And that matters because a lot of people don't think about, I would be in this position to hire people, but you struggle and you don't think about like, what type of employee were you for other people who were hiring you? Getting the contract. A lot of people, including ourselves, got our contracts through the relationships that we had already built. It wasn't as two-step, call, do this, do that, as much as putting the word out there to people that this is something that we're doing and kind of getting the support and push to make it happen. And those people being willing to point us in the right direction. Who you know matters not only from the relationship, but it also matters from what they've heard about you. So I know a couple of NOSAs, and ourselves included, hey, I want to reach back to a facility or 2 or 3 that I worked with before. But if they hear your name, what type of response are they going to give? So maintaining those good relationships so that you can go back across that bridge if you need to and ask for a contract because you haven't worked with them in years or what have you, or you can partner with that agency as a subcontractor is really important. And that really helps you as you start to get your momentum and growing your business. And those types of contracts or opportunities are a little bit more concrete, but any opportunity to get a contract, I say go for it. But you also want to consider the long term so that, friends or family members or former coworkers who you maybe have worked with in the past who have gone on into management or ADONs or DONs or administrators, those are also opportunities where you kind of reach back using your relationship with people. This is another example, Verania. She did a lot of the things that we talked about earlier in the first 2 secrets is she was a psych nurse. So of course her specialty became behavioral health. She added to it addiction and detention center placements into her agency. And that kind of became where she sat her niche at. She also does an amazing job at the networking piece, the building of the relationships, wherever she goes, so that when people connect, because nursing is big, but nursing is really, really small. So I've worked with nurses when I was in Hawaii, worked with the same nurse in Vermont. I've worked with people time and time again who either one legitimately knew me from other assignments or thought that they knew me. So your reputation really precedes you. So you want to make sure and maintain it wherever you go, because you never know when you're sitting across somebody you've worked with before or that you were a supervisor of before, and now you're having a conversation about them working for your agency. This piece is really important too, about spending as much time in the process of getting your contracts and getting the business up and running, into building those relationships and exclusively focusing on key people. So I've talked with people individually. I think I've definitely shared it in the group, as far as the importance of being where the people who you want to sign contracts are located. So where the decision makers hang out. And a lot of that is decision makers hang out on LinkedIn and Twitter. A lot of your employees and staff hang out on Instagram and Facebook, and then TikTok is a mix, and then YouTube is a mix too. So if you don't have a LinkedIn page, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but if you don't have these different things in place, you're already starting off behind the gate. So letting people know what you're trying to do is really key. I know sometimes we're hesitant to share what we're doing, but letting the right people know can open the door of opportunity. There have been so many stories of nurses that I work with, as couple even in the last course, where church members, family members, oh, well, this church member shared with another person who was a scheduler at this facility, and they sent me over my first contract. So having that conversation delicately is important. So that instead of you working so hard to get that contract, it could have just been a conversation that you had with someone who helped open the door for you.